Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the Pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by XCancer. Check them out at XCancer.com. This is my gut reaction to Nebraska versus Michigan. Now, the game kind of went how I thought it would. Obviously, Michigan's a really, really good football team. They were a big-time favorite coming into this game. They earned that right. We earned the right to be a big-time underdog coming into this football game. But Michigan has not played, and again, they're a very good football team. Maybe make the college football playoff, Big Ten championship, who knows? We'll see. But if they haven't played a ton of great teams this year. Penn State's the best team they've played so far, but if you'd watched them, okay, they kind of tended to play to the level of their competition, like Rutgers and teams like that weren't great. They would pull away at the end, but for about a half or so, they would kind of play down to the level of their competition before they eventually pulled away. Now, the one good team that played that's definitely good is Penn State, and they just steamrolled them. So that gives you an idea of how good they are. But I was like, there's a potential that this game could be, I don't want to say like really, really close, but it could be closer than some people might think going into the second half. Okay. And then Michigan has outscored their opponents 100 points and given up 3 points coming into the Nebraska game. In the second halves of those games, they tend to roll. Okay. Their physicality kind of takes over. I thought Nebraska, regardless of who they started at quarterback, love you, Chubba Purdy, but Logan Smothers should be starting. We should be changing our playbook and our play calls for Logan Smothers. I digress. But I thought Nebraska's offense would struggle potentially coming into this game as well. Now, Chubba did start. Again, it should be Logan. No disrespect to Chubba. And Logan didn't look phenomenal in this game, but I'll get into that in a moment. Now, I was kind of excited when I saw some snow and a little bit of bad weather. I was like, that tends to level the playing field a little bit. Okay, on the sidelines, if you didn't notice, former Nebraska quarterback, Cincinnati Bengals head coach Zach Taylor was on the sideline of this game. Also, Flavor Flav was in the ugliest Michigan jersey I've ever seen. Yeah, boy, if you know who he is. All right, so Michigan, their first drive, 12 plays, held the ball for 6 minutes, 48 seconds, went 80 yards for a touchdown drive. 9 runs, 3 passes, doing what they do, and they really just pushed us around up front. I know that's new. We haven't heard that before. I'm well aware of that. Nebraska's offense, they had 2 first downs in their first 4 possessions. Okay. Now, at the 12.5-minute mark left in the first half, in the second quarter, Michigan's offense only had 79 total yards. And they were 0 of 3 on third downs at that point, and it only scored 7 points. Like, Nebraska's defense was kind of doing their part. Obviously, as the game wore along, they got wore down. Michigan's offense did what they do throughout the second halves of games, but Nebraska's offense was not helping them at all. Nebraska's O had 64 total yards at that point in the game, and they were 1 of 5 on third downs and 0 points. Now, at this particular point in the game, if you did a little research, and again, I love Chubba Purdy, great dude, bright future, talented, nice kid, not playing well right now, though at this point in the game, if you looked at Chubba Purdy's last 10 drives, right at that point in our game versus Michigan, he had 1 first down in 10 drives. In his last 10 drives, 1 total first down. At this point, my former quarterback in D.C., good old Robert, RG3, put out a stat that I got to double check. And if it is true, it is freaking amazing. It tells you why Nebraska fans truly are the greatest fans in the world. All right, if you're a Nebraska fan and you're frustrated about this football season, whatever's going on, but you still love everything red, smash that like button because this stat is amazing. If true, I got to double check it. Nebraska football and volleyball home games combined have had 688 consecutive sellouts. That's like, that's crazy to me. Now, they talked a little bit about the head coaching search. Okay, as you have to do throughout a game, you got to find time to fill the air, and that is obviously a hot topic here in Nebraska. And they talked about how that's got to be appealing to a head coach. That's the kind of support that you're going to get from your fans. That's how passionate people are about Nebraska sports, football, and the like. Also, these incredibly new, awesome facilities that are going up. And they even admitted as much as Nebraska football struggled in recent years, it's still a blue blood, and it's still got to be an appealing job for our next potential head coach. Now, you fast forward to halftime, Michigan was up 17-3. Okay, part of me felt like at this point in time, well, this is what I thought was going to happen coming into the game. It'd be closer than maybe people think. Maybe we'd feel better than we should at this point. Not that we felt great at that point. Nebraska was going to struggle to score a little bit, okay? But part of me felt like it could be worse, okay? You never know what can happen. But then I remembered the whole Michigan outscored their opponents 103 in the second half of the season coming up, and all their games coming up to that point. Okay, now Evan Bland did point out something interesting. Okay, and here's his tweet. All right, essentially his tweet. Nebraska has scored in 337 straight games dating back to 1996 when they lost to Arizona State 19-0. That's the 5th longest streak in FBS of not being shut out. Now, he had put out a tweet before the game pointing out that it was 336 coming into the game, almost like, I don't know if he was anticipating a possible shutout or something like that, but I just thought that was an interesting stat. I thought I'd give him a shout out on that. Now, Mark Whipple, if you didn't see, he got ran into on the sideline in the first half. He did not come out for the second half. They kept him in for observation as much as I'm aware. Okay. Now, at first, it was kind of like I thought Mickey Joseph was going to be calling the plays. The announcers, I thought they even talked about, I had some kids kind of running around at this point in time, so maybe I missed something on the TV, but like Mickey was going to be calling plays. He didn't need to laminate his sheet because he's been doing this since he was 5 years old. But then, I heard they were kind of going to do it by committee calling the plays as well. Even Michael Severe tweeted me. He said they're going to be calling it as a staff, so I got to get clarity on there. But on that situation. But I was interested to see what they were going to do. All the best to Mark Whipple, first and foremost. But I was curious to see what they were going to do with someone else, whoever it was, calling the plays in the second half. Because up to that point, up to halftime, going into the second half, Nebraska only had 6 runs by a running back in the first half. That's mind-blowing to me, especially when you've got Anthony Grant and a loaded running back room like we have. All right, to open the second half, Michigan punted on their first possession. And as the game progressed in the third quarter, it wasn't until the end of the third quarter that Michigan did what they should have been doing the whole game. I couldn't figure out why they were passing the ball as much as they were. Went up to late in the third quarter, they were averaging nearly 5 yards per rush. Then their last possession of the third quarter, this is when they took over the game. Okay, they were ahead up until that point, but this is when they officially took over the game. Michigan went on a 10-play touchdown drive, kept the ball for almost 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 58 seconds, and ran 9 of their 10 plays were running plays. Okay. And up until now, it was incredibly unlikely that we were going to come back and win the game, but it was always kind of like, hey, if we could get a score, we're within 1 touchdown. The ultimate optimist in me, it is what it is. And maybe we can make it a 1-score game. That Michigan touchdown felt like it put the game away, putting the Wolverines up 24-3, especially when we've got he's our third string quarterback, Logan Smothers. And whether he's second or third string, he's a running quarterback first. So that made the lead seem pretty big at that point. All right, now, Logan Smothers got to play a lot in the second half. Got a lot of opportunities. He didn't look his best. He had a couple of fumbled snaps. Obviously, Michigan's really good. Our offensive line isn't helping him. But I also noticed, and he didn't play as well as I thought he could have. Okay, but he had a couple of fumble snaps like I mentioned, but there was also a couple of drop passes. His pass catchers were not helping him. Now, admittedly, I don't know the final score. I did not record this video when it was 24-3. I'm going to wait and see if Michigan scores again. So currently, at the time I'm recording this video, there's 9:39 left in the fourth quarter. Michigan's up 31-3 over the Huskers. Now, I'll give my final thoughts here. I've kind of given them throughout the video. But Iowa's currently up on Wisconsin 21-10, and that's interesting to me because those are our next 2 opponents. Okay, and I am genuinely curious to see how we wind out this season because Wisconsin and Iowa have been so up and down. It's very crazy. They're kind of like rivals to us now. Could this be the year we finally get those 2 teams? And yeah, it would mean something to me. Okay, and if you agree, smash the like button. But other than that, let me know your thoughts on this. For best wishes to Mark Whipple. Hope he's doing good physically, but let me know in the comments below. Would you like somebody other than Mark Whipple to call the plays next week? And if he's healthy, he's going to be calling them, but would you like someone else to get a shot maybe? Okay, let me know in the comments below. And obviously, we don't have a good old line, but do you think we should be giving the ball to Anthony Grant more often? Just simply say yes or no. To me, it's an easy yes. And obviously, the coaching search is the biggest news going on in Nebraska football land right now. But if you're intrigued at all by these last 2 games like I am, and I'm just a red-blooded Husker to my core, let me know that in the comments below. If you're intrigued by these last 2 games as well, maybe get to 5-7. Who cares about that? But until next time, Husker Nation, go big red and always remember, to the birds. This show is brought to you by XCancer. Join the fight at XCancerStore.com and support your loved ones, your neighbors, and cancer fighters all over the world and help them gain access to revolutionary treatments. XCancerStore.com has a wide variety of t-shirts and merchandise supporting a wide variety of cancer battles so you can show off the colors that matter. Proceeds from each purchase not only help those at home, but also cancer fighters in Tanzania, Africa, Check them out at xcancerstore.com.